Good morning, guys. Welcome back for our DIY shed build. We demoed our old shed in the last video and got it completely down to the foundation, which we're hoping to reuse. We used to have a wooden storage shed right here in our backyard. It's now right here in this wood pile, and it was just rotting away. So to replace it, we decided to order a metal storage shed from Patio Well. They have fantastic reviews, and especially the DIY install portion of it is supposed to be very straightforward and easy to manage. But then also the metal itself, this is what it should end up looking like when we're all done, and it is weather resistant, rust resistant, so we're hoping for greater longevity than the wooden shed because that one didn't even last 7 years. So we took down the previous wooden structure, but we did leave the base. These Patio Well sheds, some of them come with a base in their kit and then others don't, and we did opt for one that does not come with a base. So we were hoping to use the same foundation that we already had here, but we are going to need to make some repairs. If you can see the supports of the foundation, just this top portion is kind of rotting away on this one side, especially here towards the end. So I want to explain what we are doing just in case any of you are looking to replace your shed or use an existing foundation to build a shed on top of it and need it to be reinforced. So we measured the thickness of the foundation before we went to purchase our lumber, and of course I would always recommend that you do that, and it was about 6 inches. So we used some 2x6 outdoor treated wooden boards, and we are reinforcing that on the outside of the foundation instead of knocking down any of the supports that are on the inside and then replacing them. We did this for a couple of reasons. This was just less labor intensive. As you can see here, we're just using our level to make sure that it's level with the top of the foundation, and then using some outdoor nails to nail to the top portion where the plywood is, and then also the bottom portion where there is still an intact support beam. Of course, if both beams were completely rotted away, we wouldn't be able to do this, but really it was just that middle beam that was needing to be reinforced, so this should take care of that. We also decided to do this on the outside because we accidentally mismeasured when ordering our new shed, and so we were 3 inches shy of the width that we needed. So we ordered a 10 by 12 shed, and the width was 3 inches shy of 10 feet. So by using these 2x6s, we were able to add 4 inches total between the two sides, and then we had just the perfectly sized foundation to be able to build up on. This worked beautifully. This is outdoor treated wood, so it should last a long time. Okay, so we got the side supports on, and now we're going to bring the boxes with the new shed over to the foundation. We just figured it would be a lot easier to unbox them here so that we don't lose any screws, don't lose any of the pieces, and we can kind of just lay it all out and see what we're working with. Oh, look! Oh, gloves! Look at that!
Oh, look! Gloves! Should have opened these hours ago.
Yeah! I'm gonna put them on. They gave us gloves. I know it seems so silly to be excited about something small like gloves, but hear me out. This is why this made me so happy. There are a lot of brands out there that will just milk you for every penny that you have, that will have additional things to purchase, or they just send the bare minimum, and then there are all of these small or seemingly small purchases like extra hardware, extra tools, gloves, things like that that you then need to buy in order to to complete the project that you're working on. And I thought it was just so nice. It's such a elite customer service move to provide your consumer with the protection and prioritize their safety within the purchase instead of having them buy additionals or advising them to protect themselves. Like, a brand that is willing to take that safety and responsibility onto themselves is just elite in my opinion. And so I have loved Patio Well for so long. This is actually my second time working with them. So thank you so much to Patio Well for partnering with me on another video. But I have a few of their deck boxes. That's how I tried out the brand. And they are so good, you guys. I have purchased from 3 different companies, including Patio Well, with outdoor storage and deck boxes. And theirs are the only ones that have held up for multiple seasons and are truly weatherproof, like withstand the rain, easy to assemble, none of the pieces broke during assembly. And so when we were looking at replacing our shed, I knew instantly that we were going to be going with a Patio Well DIY storage shed, and I reached out to them because I already had such a positive experience with the quality of their products and their customer service support. This feels like it's going up pretty quick already. These instructions are very straightforward, and it helps that every single one of these panels is labeled here, so you just cross-reference the instructions and it tells you what to do. So we've already done this part where we assembled the frame and got it into place. And then this part here that you just saw where we put these 4 corners on, and I think now the next part is to build the frame of the roof. So we did pull a ladder, but just flipping through these instructions, you can see that it's all labeled so thoroughly. And so once you get started, it just kind of starts going up and it's super quick. I think the most time-consuming part is this. I don't just think the most time-consuming part is the hardware. I know it is the most time-consuming part of this entire build. Everything else is very straightforward, very easy to follow. The instruction manual is so thorough, but also just in case you are a more visual learner or need a visual example, there is a QR code within the instruction manual that will lead you to a series of videos that have been published by Patio Well to show you step by step how to build this metal storage shed. But if you are just wanting to eliminate the headache of hardware altogether, Patio Well actually has a full line of outdoor weather resistant plastic storage sheds made of kind of the same material as their deck boxes, and they click together in a similar installation fashion. I don't personally own one of these and haven't put it together, but my friend Carrie does. She has told me that she absolutely loves it. It is such a breeze to install, and I'm pretty sure she shared it in a video recently. So I'll try to link that down in my description box in case you're wanting to check that out or see that product. But Patio Well offers metal and plastic storage sheds in a variety of sizes, in addition to their deck boxes and outdoor storage cabinets. So if you are looking to add any kind of storage into your outdoor space this season, I would highly recommend Patio Well. And since I am partnered with them on today's video, that means I have a discount for you. So down in my description box, you can find a link and a discount code that will save you money on your Patio Well purchase. So make sure that you use that link to save yourself some money on your outdoor storage needs or DIY builds this summer. But thank you once again to Patio Well for partnering with me and sponsoring today's video. Okay, so we've been at it for about 2 hours now, and I think we're halfway through, so we're making really good time. There are a couple of things that I've noticed though, so I just want to share a few tips so that you don't make the same mistakes that we did. This first side here took the longest, and that's because we were putting the screws down at the bottom and at the top for each individual panel, and then when we got to the end one here, it was fitting together on the bottom but not on the top. And that is because all of these bottom screws, they have pre-drilled holes, so we know exactly where to put them. But then the top portion here, it kind of screws into a little groove at the top, and it's not pre-drilled. So we were being too lax up at the top, and so there was a gap up there, but the bottom was all taut, so it came together really nicely. So we actually had to take out all of these screws to shift it all over and have it meet together. But then once we we realized that the back and this other side have just gone up so fast, and we haven't had any more mistakes like that. So what we're doing is just screwing everything into the bottom where we can see those pre-drilled holes, and putting like maybe one screw up at the top, and then waiting to do that all at the end to make sure that everything joins together nicely exactly as it's supposed to. And that has been working out so well. I think that first side, the clip is like nearly 26 minutes long for that one side, because we had to double back, take all the screws out, and then re-drill them. The back went up in 8 minutes, and this other side has gone up in about 11. So it can be very fast and efficient as long as you kind of know what you're doing, right? But it's okay. Beginner mistake.
For the first time in ages, I wake up and don't hate it. I guess I found some peace. Through the day to the evening, without shouting and screaming, something new to me. Alone without being lonely, getting back to the old me. It's kinda nice to feel free. I thought this was over, thought I could control it. But if I speak the truth, I ain't over you. I was feeling sober until you came up now. I don't know what to do. I ain't over you. I ain't over. I ain't over. No matter what I do, I ain't over you. Give it time, things will settle. Just a face till it's better, yeah. Heard it all before. Even though we were toxic, feels the most when you've lost it. That's just how it goes. By myself feeling lonely, can't get back to the old me. I'm stuck in way too deep. I thought this was over, thought I could control it. But if I speak the truth, I ain't over you. I was feeling sober until you came up now. I don't know what to do. I ain't over you. I ain't over. I ain't over. No matter what I do, I ain't over you. I ain't over. I ain't over. No matter what I do, I ain't over you. Ain't over you. I ain't over you. And no matter what I do, I ain't over you.
I'm in fresh clothes because it's actually the next day. We did get the shed finished, but it was starting to get dark. It took us around 5 hours total for the build, but it's all finished. So I figured I'd just give you a little overview of what it looks like when we got it all put together. Also share some of the things that we did wrong and how we corrected them, so that you can learn from our mistakes, and just like give you a little tour of what it's looking like. So here is the overview of the finished shed. The roof is on, all of the walls are on, the doors, and inside it is just waiting for all of our things. One feature that I really like is these door stops on both the top and bottom of this door. So it just adds a little bit extra security, but I wanted to let some sunlight in here so that I could show you guys how spacious this is. But on the outside, it looks way more aesthetic than that old rotting, falling apart shed that we had before. It just looks like it's welcoming us to bring all of our things in here. But let me quickly share with you some of the things that we did very wrong when we were in here and had to redo sometimes 2 or 3 times, and just share with you a couple of tips that I learned along the way to make your build go that much easier. We did make use of the Patio Well YouTube videos, and they were super helpful when we really got stuck, like with putting the doors on and things like that. But there were a couple of other things that we were able to troubleshoot ourselves. It just obviously would have been so much nicer if we had just done it right the first time. The first thing that really tripped us up were these support beams in the ceiling. So there's 3 of them, and this one in the middle is actually 2 that are just butted up together and then bolted to make one really solid piece. And not only did we install these backwards, but this one, all 4 parts, because it's 4 different pieces, we had wrong and had to take it down, reconfigure it, and then put it back up. So you can see that every single piece of this shed is very, very clearly numbered. Those labels are there and they're so clear and so obvious for a reason. It's not just for making sure that you're picking the right pieces out of the pile, but we found ourselves looking at the steps and just going and grabbing the correct numbers or the correct letters, and then just kind of glancing at the picture and trying to fit them together the way that it seems like it would fit for what we needed to do. And we ended up tripping ourselves up doing that. Each piece of the instructions, like each individual step, is so clearly labeled, and it's labeled so thoroughly for a reason, because it does actually matter. All of these beams had pre-drilled holes in them for when we were putting up the ceiling panels, to make it really easy to screw those in, just to line up the holes and know that we had things exactly where they were supposed to be. And when we assembled them incorrectly, then those holes didn't line up, and we were confused and frustrated and had to backtrack a couple of steps to figure out where we went wrong and putting the beams together, and then also how we installed them really mattered a lot, and we did it wrong, and so we had to take them all down, reconfigure them, reinstall them, and that ended up taking up about 35 minutes of our time that we could have just already been putting the roof up. So we could have saved quite a bit of time by just paying attention. Here's the instruction manual, and this is the step I was talking about, so I figured I'd just show you what I was saying. Here are all of those support beams, and you can see that each of them is clearly labeled with a number, and that is there not just to tell you which pieces you need, but where you need to be putting them, which seems like duh, but we got it wrong. So we had to reconfigure all of this. We also installed them improperly with the hardware that was existing because we didn't pay attention to all of these bubbles. So if you're ever feeling confused on how something fits together, a lot of steps have these bubbles that kind of zoom into that area and show you exactly what it's supposed to look like. Another thing that we did wrong was not paying close enough attention to the hardware. We would kind of just get on a roll and be glancing at the pictures and think we knew what we needed to grab next, and really just made quite a few mistakes. So one of the mistakes that we made was not always paying attention to which screws needed a washer. And so you can see that all of these along the top and the bottom rows needed washers, and so we kind of got on a roll with putting the washers on, and one person would be putting washers on screws and then handing them over and kind of going that way. But in some areas they don't want you to use a washer. It is just supposed to be the screw, and so we would have a washer on it, put it in, it wouldn't feel quite tight or secure, and we'd be like baffled as to why, and it was because we weren't clearly following the instructions. We were just assuming. Another thing that I did wrong was not paying attention to which bolts to use. So there are these larger bolts that were used for this door lock mechanism, but I left it here to show you that I actually used smaller ones for this side just because I had been using these in a previous step, and so again, not paying attention, I just installed this with these, and it's not secure, it moves around, it is not the way it's supposed to be, and so it doesn't line up because I didn't use the correct hardware. So I'm gonna have to change this out. And then the last thing that I'll say is this is possible for one single person to install. It would take extra time, of course. I would say probably 7 to 8 hours if you're doing it all on your own. A 2-person team obviously would be ideal, and I would say the build would take around 6 hours with 2 people. We thought the sweet spot was 3. So if you can gather 3 people to install this, it breezes by in around 4 hours. And what we did was just kind of delegate tasks. So we had one person that was predominantly screwing in all of the hardware, another person that was kind of holding up the pieces as that person was using the drill or screwing things in, and then a third person that was kind of just arranging all of the hardware, reading the steps as thoroughly as possible, although we did make some mistakes there, and just making sure that all of the pieces were laid out, the correct pieces were being chosen, the correct hardware was being chosen, almost like a project manager with tedious tasks. It helped a ton, and it also helped to have at least one organized person in the mix. So those are just the tips if you want a super quick, like, one-day build. I would suggest 2 or more people, and delegating the tasks and kind of handling things that way, because it ended up working out really well for us. But anyway, that is everything that I have to share on this new shed build. Once again, I want to say a huge thank you to Patio Well for partnering with me, sending us this shed, and sponsoring today's video. We could not have done this without them, and thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, being interested in watching these sorts of things, and kind of doing these house projects with me. I never take your time or your attention for granted, so thank you so much for choosing to spend your time here with me. If you did enjoy today's video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions that I might not have answered, then leave me a comment down below and I will get back to every single one of you. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this here. I think tomorrow we're gonna pick back up putting everything back in the shed and kind of doing an organizational style video. So make sure you're subscribed and you've got your notification bell turned on so that you can see how we organize the inside of our new storage shed. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you all in the next one.